Building off what you've already said and how like the tide is kind of turning, people are advocating more for women's health and stuff. And I really liked that idea because, I have two older brothers and I feel like they had such a advantage having a younger sister who like, has been going through periods where now when they go into relationships with women and they kind of know what to expect. They're not surprised by anything. Like they'll go to the store and buy like tampons and pads, because it's not like a surprise or anything. Whereas I think a lot of men who don't have like that female presence in their life before they go out into the world,
oh, definitely,
they don't know what they're doing. And so, yeah, I think it is a really important for us to be able to talk about this with men, because I feel like at least for most of our lives, we're like encouraged to kind of hide this aspect of ourselves, not just from ourselves, but from like men as well, like to shelter them from it for some reason.
Yeah. It's called like menstrual etiquette in anthropology. There's this specific way that you conduct yourself and how you share or don't share about menstruation, which is just bullshit. I think in terms of men and periods, it has been the highlight of this whole journey for me, second only to like being able to help women feel better and be healthier in their lives, is just how much the men in my life have supported this. They're so interested. Anyone who thinks that men are grossed out by this, the amount of guy friends, acquaintances at like a bar, like anyone who pulled me aside and being like, okay, so I hear you do this thing and I have this one question. Like, I feel like I get comments the way that I would assume a sex therapist would. And I wasn't expecting that to happen. Like, I thought, I've always had an interest in period health. And as I became more and more public and vocal about it, I was like, oh gosh, like this is going to be so embarrassing with the men in my life. I'm still feeling sort of the societal implications of the stigma
Yeah.
in that regard. And they just love it. They just want to chat. So I think that's really great. But the second thing that has been really eye-opening for me is how much it has helped me in my intimate relationships in terms of being able to, because once you're like, yeah, this is my job, this is what I talk about, it makes it possible to just discuss that more in a personal setting as well. It's added an extra level of being able to just feel close to someone and understood and not feel like you're hiding something. Like I never felt like I was hiding this part of myself until I wasn't. And then it felt like it just level up my relationship in a way that I wasn't expecting. And maybe that's naive of me. I am the period queen. I should have been like, of course it will help. But I was like, wow, this is amazing how this is happening. So I just think that if I felt that way, like there's probably a lot of other women who are like, that's so cringe. I would never bring this up with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Just try it. You will be so surprised, because just being able to be more open with your partner in this way has been so surprising to me. Or even just with my brother, like he helps me with a lot of work stuff. And so he has been so enlightened from this process, but it just made our relationship closer. Like having to hide any part of yourself, even if it's something silly and stupid, just changes the dynamic. And so I don't think a lot of people realize how much that they are keeping this under wraps and what that just does to your general interaction with someone, even if it's subconscious, even if it's unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I highly recommend.
Yeah. And I love how you said that, guys have been approaching you now and they're actually asking you questions about these things. Cause it's true. Like there is no real like socially acceptable or societal like place for guys to ask about these things,
Yeah.
right? They're told that they don't need to know it. And then all of a sudden it's like, actually, this is something that your partner's going to go through every month. You should probably know something
Yeah, they're
about
like, wait, so when are they not able to get pregnant? When is their sex drive higher? I'm like, oh God, here we go. And I love then when I hear the men in my life explain it to each other. When they're like, yeah, dude, so
Oh.
like there's this thing called ovulation and it like makes them really hot. I'm like,
Oh my God. I need that. I need that to be a podcast. I need that to be something that's publicized because that would be hilarious.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Once I started the podcast too, I'm not going to lie, it was a thought that occurred to me like, oh crap, probably guys are going to hear this and they're going to hear me talking about like my period and like, random stuff. And they're probably going to think that's weird. And now I'm like, oh, maybe that's actually not that weird.
No, I think if there's anything that this has taught me, it's that there's nothing that's more attractive or respected than just openness and vulnerability and like being so confident in yourself that you feel no shame in who you are and what happens to your body. Yeah, I think I definitely discounted this. I came into this sort of with my sunglasses on and hood up, like nobody noticed that this is me doing this, and am now like, I am here. Let me talk to you about all my symptoms. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's really empowering.
I love that.